Hi everybody. It's been 3 years since we lost our beloved employee, Mike McGrattan. We've been thinking about him a lot lately, and so we've put together this little video to sort of introduce him to you, share our thoughts about him. But also, back in 2016, he and I sat down for a chat, and he gave me his thoughts about our hobby and about Rapido, and we thought we'd share those with you too. Hope you enjoy.
My love for trains started on December 25th, 1968. I remember that because my dad gave me my first train set. That night he spent building this triangle train set on a board in our apartment using a sock over a hammer so I wouldn't hear the nails. We have a picture of that, and it's always been near and dear to me. I had trains all as a kid, HO scale and N scale, and then like most guys, girls' school, cars got in the way. When I went to British Columbia in 1993, I was looking for something to do. I was a new plant manager. I didn't know anybody. And it was, go out to the bars at night or find a hobby. And an old friend of mine, Doug North, came to town and took me to Pacific Scale Rail. And I bought my first N-scale engine, which was the renowned Atlas RS3. And the rest is history. I just never stopped.
Mike and I used to spend our Saturday nights together, but he was in Peterborough, Ontario, and I was in Toronto, and they're about 60 miles apart. And we'd watch the hockey game together. Mike was a huge Leafs fan, and I still am a huge Montreal Canadiens fan. And the banter that would go back and forth for the 3 hours of the game, it was just priceless. And he was so laid back about the fact that his team has not won the Stanley Cup since 1967, 8 years before I was born. He was really laid back about that, and he took the ribbon well.
So Mike was a terrific guy. He was always thinking about others, always taking care of other people before himself. He was also a phenomenal modeler. I don't know too many guys who can model N-scale stuff the way he could, even with his sausage fingers. He was a fantastic modeler. He was great at teaching people how to model too.
Coming to work for Rapido, wow. I had spent 20 years in the paper packaging business and had left the paper packaging business burned out beyond all recognition. I was just completely done. I spent a few years as a house husband taking care of my son when these guys from Rapido put an ad in saying they needed a clone of Dan. It was absolutely everything I wanted. It was fly by the seat of your pants. It was incredibly creative. It was an atmosphere of working with friends. It was hectic. It was crazy. It was occasionally maddening because we had way too much to do and not enough resources and not enough people. But it was also like being on a hockey team that you knew is one player away from great things happening.
He signed us up for the Ice Bucket Challenge. And of course we did it in our own kind of weird and wacky way. And it was terrific. It was a lot of fun.
Mike always had the interest of the company right at the forefront, and he always was looking for new ways that he could promote the business. So it was his idea, for example, to charter a via train and go to Expo Rail Montreal to launch the steam engine project, which was fabulous. We really had an amazing time on board the LRC and our own Skyline, and there's a whole bunch of rail fans, modelers, just having a great time together. He spearheaded the LRC locomotive project, which was a fundraiser for Lung Association because we painted it as a Star Trek shuttlecraft. When he first got sick, he posted an update on Facebook, and there was a tremendous response on our Facebook page. Very compassionate. A lot of people shared it, a lot of people commented on it. And so I get a call from him saying, "Hey boss, our Facebook page just exploded because of my update." I was like, I gotta keep updating every different diagnosis. Every time I have a cough or something, I'm updating Facebook because we're gonna get a great response to that. That was the way that he thought. He was always thinking about the company and putting it first.
Rapido is a special company with special products, special people, and a special way of doing things. And I think it's important that we never stray away from those roots, that we find ways to retain those strengths as we grow and supply an ever-increasing demand for our products.
He took it very personally. He was very protective of the company. And I also remember his relationship with you, Jason, that he was a great calming force for you. There's always stress and anxiety when you're running a company, a lot of matters to be dealt with, and he had the ability to sit you down and go over a couple of things and really calm you down. I've been trying to do that, and I don't think
You've
I'm
been
successful.
failing miserably.
I can remember Mike walking into one of the print shops I worked with and seeing him and thinking, I know that guy. And then he goes, you like trains? And I said, yeah. He says, so do I. And it turned out we were both standing at the counter at George's Trains the previous Saturday. And we just started up a friendship from there that lasted a good 20 years, I guess. And all of a sudden I wound up working at Rapido, and he came by and he goes, I know you. And I said, yeah, I know you too, but I can't remember where from. He says, well, I think it was George's Trains. I said, yeah, but I think I met you somewhere else too. And he goes, oh yeah, probably. And then we started talking about N-Scale and how he liked N-Scale, and I guess that's where we started with N-Scale here at Rapido. And that would be his legacy, and we're continuing it today. Hopefully he approves.
For Mike, family was everything, and his son Sam was everything. He always talked about Sam. He had this adorable picture of Sam on his desk. And I really got the impression that for him, the hobby was all about Sam. It was all about, I want to share this with my son. I want my son to keep the memory of our hobby together going forward.
My son was like most kids, kind of like playing with the trains for 15 minutes and then he'd go on to the next thing. One day, about 2 years ago, he said he wanted to have his own layout. And I said, sure, fine, and let it go. But he came back a few times. So I said, okay, fine. And about a year ago, a year and a half ago, before my kidney disease kicked in, we started to build it. And I said he had to do most of the work. We discovered he's pretty good with tools, so he built the frame out of pine, two frames, 75 inches by 20 inches, and he built the legs. And then I got sick, and what happened then was everything got put away. Fast forward to 6 months ago, when unfortunately the second problem occurred, the cancer diagnosis, and he said, well, what about our train set? I think intrinsically he understood that if we were going to do this, we had to do it now. And that's how we started. So we started to build the Kanto division. The name itself is pretty funny because if you're a father of a kid in these ages, you probably have heard of Kanto. It's one of the regions of the Pokemon group. So it's kind of a joke for us that Kanto is actually a Pokemon term, my son being a big Pokemon fan. So we decided to build the Kanto town first and then the mill second. And I'm pleased to say as of last night, we've pretty much finished it.
Getting Sam into the hobby, sharing those moments with him, and thinking ahead also to other ways that he could share the hobby with kids, that was the most important thing to Mike. He was a model railroader through and through, but most importantly, he was a gentleman. We have a term in Judaism, mensch. Mensch means a really upstanding guy or girl. Mike was to the core mensch.
But really, I think I want to be remembered, if anyone cares to remember, as someone who helped grow the hobby. Helping growing the hobby through working for Rapido is one thing, but I really wanted to, and I've tried to make sure that I pass on my love of this hobby to kids. I mean, they've been saying this hobby's been dying since the 1940s. This hobby's not dying. This hobby just keeps turning over new and exciting people who come into it. And I think that as modelers who have been in this game for a long time, it becomes incumbent upon us to try and pass on the best of the hobby by showing people what we're doing and including them in it. And if people remember me for that, then I'd be pretty happy. 30, 40 years from now, or whatever it is, and if my grandkids see this video, I hope that A, your father, Sam, still has some of my stuff, that it hasn't gone the way of a hockey card collection. I hope that you can see the kind of love and effort that I put in to making these models of transportation prototypes that are 100 years now, in some cases, removed from what you see. And that it at least inspires you to find out more about what these models meant, what they were, what they did, and about the guy who made them. And that maybe you'll get involved in something like modeling because it gives you immense satisfaction.